Okay, we're about a minute in, so I will get started. Thank you for those that are joining us on a beautiful Thursday evening and taking the time to participate in a neighborhood meeting that City of Barrie is hosting for 111 Bay Lane. The program or this presentation or this evening is being recorded, so I will let you know that. And I will ask that if you have any questions at all, you can always reach out to me, or I'll note that at least Logan Jeffermans and I am the planner on the file. So good evening and welcome to tonight's neighborhood meeting. I am the planner for the City of Barrie's Development Services Department. The focus of tonight's meeting will be on the currently proposed application for a zoning bylaw amendment, plan of subdivision and a plan of condominium at the 111 Bay Lane property. Please be aware we are recording the meeting for the public record, and this will be posted to the proposed developments webpage in the soon future. The recording will be used for the purpose of garnering your input and to respond to any inquiries we do here, and will be considered public information. Please also be aware that as registered attendees tonight, your mailing or email address will be added to the mailing list so that you can receive further information about this application as it progresses. Should you have any other questions regarding this collection of information, please contact the Development Services Department, primarily myself. I would also like to let everyone know that there are staff behind the scenes managing the technology tonight, doing their best. They're here to make sure that the meeting runs smoothly, to grant participants the opportunity to speak and to assist with any questions in the chat. Please bear with us if there are any issues. I will encourage folks to direct their questions directly to myself and the applicant tonight. Please just limit the use of the chat function, which is available in Zoom, to primarily technical questions. But otherwise, we're here to have that open dialogue and that face-to-face contact. So please feel free to ask questions later on, but in that public way. The intent of tonight's meeting is to provide members of the public, yourselves, with an opportunity to become familiar with this development application and the planning review process we are currently in. It's also to ask the applicant questions and provide feedback as you may see fit. So what to expect in the virtual neighborhood meeting that we're in today, a brief overview of the city's review process, kind of what I'm doing right now, and the timing associated with that, as well then a presentation from the applicant's representative, Ray Duhamel of Jones Consulting, describing the proposal. And also there will be at the end an opportunity to ask questions of either the applicant or city staff, myself, and provide comments or identify concerns with this applications. What not to expect, myself as city staff, recommendations on the application or a detailed analysis of the proposal. This will occur later on in the review process. We're definitely at the early stages currently. You also should not expect a debate on the merits of the proposal between city staff and the applicant. That's not really the process and may happen later on with council and others through the Planning Act requirements. So before we get to the presentation, I just wanted to quickly highlight some next steps in the application process. This neighborhood meeting is established early in the process by the City of Barrie. For development review, we like to ensure that local concerns are incorporated and addressed through the city's review at an early stage. So at this meeting, we expect that the applicant will make a formal, we'll expect the applicant to make a formal application submission for this development project. And formal submissions undergo a full technical review with a variety of internal departments and external departments of other agencies. And as well, they would then be addressing comments received from the public through this forum and at a public meeting as required by the Planning Act. So in conjunction with this public meeting, this neighborhood meeting, a statutory public meeting will also be held virtually and in an in-person, process now at City Hall. At Planning Committee, so that'd be later on the process. At that public meeting, applicants will present their application to council once again, answer questions and provide an overview and response to any issues or concerns that have been identified during prior neighborhood meeting, this one. As part of that public meeting, members of the public also have an opportunity to provide verbal or written comments, a little bit more formally than today. Following a public meeting, staff continue the technical review process and the applicants may make necessary revisions to the development proposal. Once the review process has concluded, a staff recommendation report is brought forward to council for their consideration. All comments received through that review process, including those received at this neighborhood meeting and the future public meeting, are identified and addressed in the staff report and form part of staff's recommendation on the subject application. A staff report for this particular application would likely be brought forward to council sometime in 2023. I will now, I guess, open up the floor a little bit to Ray Duhamel of Jones Consulting Group, and I will allow him to then share his presentation with each of you. After that, we will get back into some Q&A.
Thank you very much, Logan. I'm going to share my screen right now. Can you please confirm that you can see my screen?
I can.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, so the that's just the participants. I'm going to slide that off, and we're good to go. Okay, well, thank you everyone for taking a beautiful summer evening to listen to a presentation about a proposed planning act applications for lands that are known as 101 through 119 Bay Lane. I'm presenting this evening on behalf of Bay Lane Estates Company Limited, which has owned the land since the late 60s. This presentation will be fairly short, and then, as Logan had mentioned, we'll open up the opportunity for you to ask any questions that you may like. So, okay, the property is located in red. I trust that many of you on the Zoom call tonight are aware of its location, but just in case you're not aware, I'll use my cursor to describe. This is the extent of Bay Lane, which is a municipal public laneway. And the property is bounded by red. Contains right now 9 dwellings. There are 10 addresses. One of the dwellings burnt down a number of years ago. The property is, of course, adjacent to Gables Park, which is all located throughout this area. And then the Brennan Avenue subdivision to the west, and the Gables subdivision further south. The property has had a municipal sanitary sewer extended from Brennan Avenue approximately 5 years ago. So the sanitary sewer extended all the way from Brennan along this property through the Gables and connected out into Royal Oak Drive, which is part of a sanitary and water upgrade project that the city undertook. This is a zoomed in aerial of the property. You can see that it currently contains 9 dwellings, as I described. The property overall is about 2.5 hectares in size and has 42 meters of frontage. There's also tennis court, and you can see the private driveways that access the property right now. This is a photograph of the site taken at the the north end of Bay Lane, where it connects to the private driveway to this property. You can just make note of the mature trees that are all located within this area, and the dwellings that are located in the background. And I think it's important at the front end of this process. This is rather unique planning act process. So the purpose of this application is to effectively recognize the built form and use that has existed for decades on this land. And it's rare in that there's no site alteration proposed as part of this application. So this is a view from Brennan Avenue. So the property line, if you can see my cursors, the fence, the chain link fence line, and then the properties are behind that. This is an excerpt of the city's official plan. The official plan is a document that guides land use planning decisions over a 20-year period. And it not surprisingly identifies that this is a residentially designated parcel, as is the Brennan Avenue neighborhood and the Gables neighborhood and the Royal Oak Drive neighborhood. And then this green area is all open space, and that's associated with the city's parkland system. And then the city has actually adopted a new official plan, which is awaiting provincial approval. And again, not surprisingly, it maintains a yellow color. It just changes the description of the area from residential to neighborhood area, and it's effectively it's places where people live. And that, of course, is that description for everything on the land and surrounding the land as described previously. The zoning of the property, as you can see here in yellow, the zone is residential H, or residential hold. And that's effectively a holding zone that, just allows what exists today and not much else. So the proposed rezoning is to rezone it to R1 special, possibly R2 special, either way, which would specifically recognize lot frontages that are 17 meters wide. And that would look something like this. This is the plan of subdivision. And effectively, if you can follow my cursor, each one of the lots within this area would be subdivided to create one new lot. And then this balance of the area would become a common element. And I'll just show you right now. So this is the bay lane extending onto this existing driveway. Each cottage has each dwelling, has its own individual driveway right now, and those are being proposed to be maintained in its current capacity. This dashed line actually illustrates the location of the sanitary sewer and water that was installed, municipal water that was installed as part of the Bay Lane and Royal Oak Drive sanitary and water upgrades about 5 or so years ago. And then ultimately the condominium would simply be that each of these 10 subdivision lots would be tied to this one block in terms of requiring maintenance and snow removal and the like. So this would be shared and owned in common, and that would be tied to each one of these 10 subdivision lots. So in conclusion, I will go back a couple of slides, just to this slide. This is unique in that there's no development proposed in the form of actual site alteration or new construction. The development that's proposed is one that's specific to technical language in the Planning Act, which is the creation of lot lines and associated approvals that are specifically intended to recognize what has existed for 60 or so years. So Logan, I think that provides an overview. Unless you had any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions from the public.